Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Ireland once again, and as I've commented many a time on the channel, it's really good to see that in Scotland we're starting to find some of the Irish craft beers, because for a long time you just couldn't find anything, and now we're getting 8 Degrees, we're getting White Hag, we're getting Boundary, we're getting various different things, which is really pretty good. So for this one we're going to do my second review from 8 Degrees Brewing, who are from Cork in the southeastern part of the country, and this one should be pretty cool because it's a combination of two styles of beer that I really enjoy. So this beer is the Bandit. It comes in at 6% ABV, and they're describing this one as a smoked brown ale. Now, Brooklyn Brown was always one of my favourite beers when I first started getting into craft beer, and of course the beer that really kind of turned it around for me in terms of craft beer was the Schlenkerla Urbock. I really love that beer. So kind of seeing this one that's a little bit of a hybrid between the two styles should be really interesting. So I'm hoping this is a really good beer. But my last experience I had with 8 Degrees North, or 8 Degrees, sorry, which was the Supernova, I really quite enjoyed that one. So definitely looking forward to trying this beer, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. And like I say, it's cool to be able to review some Irish beers for you finally on the channel. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from 8 Degrees North before. No doubt I will add a few more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Irish beers that I've reviewed for you, and I'm adding to that whenever I can. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the channel, and the support that you show the channel, of course, is hugely appreciated. And on my last Irish videos that I've done, I've had some really great responses with suggestions and things, so do please keep them coming, and you will see some more Irish reviews over the next little while. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about 8 Degrees Brewing then. So this brewery, as I mentioned to you, are from County Cork in Ireland, and they were founded back in 2011 by Cam Wallace from Australia and Scott Bygent, who was from New Zealand, and both of these guys basically met Irish girls and moved over to Ireland. So the brewery itself is in Mitchelstown at the foot of the Galtee Mountains, and the pair had been home brewers, and Scott really started brewing because he missed the beers that he could get back in New Zealand. As I've told you many a time on the channel, the Kiwi craft beers are really pretty damn awesome, and a lot of that is due to the fact that they can grow their own hops down there. There's no kind of natural competitors when it comes to growing hops in New Zealand, so they've been able to develop some really crazy varieties like Waikato and Riwaka and, you know, Nelson Sauvin and all of these kind of things. There's a lot of really lovely New Zealand hops that give you some awesome fruit profiles. That's something I really want to play with when it comes to homebrew, but that has all allowed the Kiwis to create some really damn awesome beer. So if you get the chance to go to New Zealand, go to Wellington and try a load of the different stuff, because you will certainly not be disappointed. But these guys, to make this brewery, did a brewing course over at VLB in Berlin, and they also have now hired a head brewer who's called Mike, and over the last few years they've been producing more and more different beers and expanding their range, and also expanding their brewing capacity and also their fermentation capacity as well. And to date they've produced, I think, well over 75 different beers. I think they've produced quite a few of them, and they've got a regular range of 7, and they produce various limited edition beers as well. From what I gather, this particular beer started out in October of 2016 as a limited edition, and they've brought it back for another round. So yeah, this one, as I say, should be quite an interesting beer. But that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to read a little bit more about them, have a look at the brewery website, follow them on Facebook and things, and you can keep up to date with the latest goings on. But from what I understand, they are just kind of continuing to expand and get their beers out there a little bit more. But they've had some very positive reviews, and based on the Supernova that I tried before, I can see why people are rating these guys quite highly. So yeah, make sure you check out some of their beers. So yeah, let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself then. So like I mentioned to you at the start of the video, this one is a 6% brown ale. The hops in this one is simply Simcoe, and the malt base in this one, there's 2 row Irish, rye, wheat, dark crystal and chocolate malts, and apparently they also added some kind of smoked beechwood to the brew. I'm not sure if they would have put that in the fermentation tank or something like that, just to give it a little bit extra flavour. I think that is where they would actually add it here. So it says on the back here, Bandit, a brown ale is one of our autumn favourites, but we couldn't resist adding smoked beechwood malt for some extra intrigue. This is a malt driven beer packed with 2 row Irish, rye, wheat, dark crystal and chocolate malt for real depth and complexity of flavour. Bandit just might be a runaway success. So yeah, I quite like the artwork on this one. A little bit different from the Supernova, of course. But yeah, there you can see the 8 Degrees North bottle cap on this one. Same on all the beers as far as I remember. And I do like this little bit down here. You can see they've got the kiwi and I don't know, and the lizard as well. It's kind of meant to symbolise Australia. Obviously these guys coming from Australia and New Zealand originally. But yeah, I do like the artwork on these beers. And you can see here, it tells you why the name 8 Degrees North. It says, Ireland is located at 8 degrees west longitude, which as it happens is also the perfect serving temperature, I can't speak tonight, the perfect serving temperature for our beer. So yeah, nicely presented this one, Mitchelstown in County Cork in Ireland. So without further ado, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting. Nice bit of a smoky opening there. Oh, and you can smell some of that smoky note coming off this. And we'll get it out and into the glass. Sugar up the last wee bit to get more of a head on it, and there we go. So yeah, as you can see and as you'd expect from the brown ale, it's poured a nice sort of dark mahogany, kind of chestnutty colour. There's about a half finger of a frothy, slightly beigey tan head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. When you sugar the beer up, you really can get that nice, almost Rauch malt quality out of this beer. But yeah, if I hold it up to the light, it's got a nice little bit of a kind of almost ruby-ish edge to it. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it does look really nice. If I put my fingers behind the glass, I think this one, were it not for the colour, would actually be kind of quite transparent. It does actually look, when you shine it through the light, there is quite a bit of clarity to that beer. There's a little bit of haze, but not too much. But it would be quite transparent if it wasn't so dark in colour. So yeah, it looks exactly as we would kind of expect. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. Ooh. Yeah. I have to say, that's a pretty nice aroma coming out of this one. But as I always say, you know, these Rauch beer aromas, they are quite nostalgic for me. That's the style that really got me into craft beer, because it just tasted like sausage. And I was like, how can beer taste like sausage? But it was, you know, something the Germans proved is possible. But yeah, with this one then, you've got a nice sort of, you've got a little bit of that nice kind of meaty smoke to it. The smoky character in this one is definitely a little bit more meaty, that sort of beechwood smoke. As I always say, when it comes to the Scottish smoke beers, they tend to be a little bit more kind of earthy and peaty, and I like that as well. But for me, this one leans a little bit more towards the kind of German, Rauch malty, sort of meaty, smoky quality, I would say. Definitely a bit of that woody note in there. There's some nice brown sugars. You can definitely pick up a bit of caramel and biscuit in this one, and it's quite a toasted brown sugar, I would say. There's a wee bit of a sort of floral, grassy hop coming out, mainly grassy, maybe a touch earthy as well. And you can pick up that there's a wee bit of citrus. There's almost a little bit of a kind of slightly red fruity quality coming out of this one. It's not sharp, it's just a little bit light, but there's citrus and a little bit of that almost candied red fruit in there. But this is a lovely smelling beer, this one. I do like the aroma that it's quite complex. I mean, you can get a little bit of the kind of rye bready quality in there as well. I always loved, when I was living over in Germany, I absolutely loved German rye bread. And for me, if you got a smoked, I don't know if that's even possible to smoke rye bread, but that would absolutely be lovely. But that rye, it definitely has this kind of rye bread base. On top of that, there's a little bit of a kind of toasted brown sugar, like I was saying, quite a caramelly brown sugar. And then you've got these nice sort of smoky, woody qualities in there as well. I do like the aroma of this beer. It's not too kind of pungent, if that makes sense. You do have to go in, and you do have to kind of go into the beer a little bit and sugar it up and get all the different things out of it. But to me, that's a really quite nice aroma. So as I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck in. That's always half the experience when it comes to beer, sake, whiskey and things like that. So without further ado then, let's get stuck into this beer. So this one's the Bandit, a smoked brown ale from 8 Degrees Brewing in Mitchelstown in County Cork over in the Republic of Ireland. Let's get stuck in. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, that's a nice beer, that one. I do like that. It's not quite as pungent in flavour as I was quite expecting. This one to me strikes me as more of one of a kind of smooth, sort of easy drinker. See if you had this as a cask ale actually, I think it would be really, really nice with that slightly smoother mouthfeel. I think often, as you say, some of these kind of cask and keg beers, it just gives the mouthfeel a little bit more smoothness. This has got quite a nice wet mouthfeel, and I remember that with the Supernova as well, the the water, it must be the water that they're using. Some beer tubers will say, oh, like, I don't think the water really contributes to the quality of the beer. I don't believe that at all, because in whiskey and sake and things, you really can taste the difference, and I do believe in beer as well. But the water that these guys are using gives the beer a nice sort of wettish quality, and you can taste a little bit of that mineral note in there. And I like that, I have to admit, because, as you know, we have really pure water in Scotland, and it's a bit kind of nostalgic if you like trying the Irish beers as well, because they'll have something very similar to that. But this beer, I think, would be one that would really suit the kind of cask and keg conditioning, and just it would really suit that as well. It's good out of the bottle with the bottle conditioning, don't get me wrong, but I think with an even smoother mouthfeel than it already has, that would really bring out some of these smoky characters. Nice, it would be really, really cool to see that, actually. Bit of a side note there, but yeah. As I always say, sugar the beer around your palate a little bit as well, and then let your whole mouth adjust to it. But yeah, this one, it's not too punchy in any one regard. Again, this is one of these beers where it's all about how the flavours kind of combine together. And I do like that about it, it's nice. So, yeah, with the malt base on this one, you can feel there's a little bit of that. You can feel a little bit of the crystal malt. That's the one I think that's kind of forming the base of this. It's got a little bit of a kind of toasty, grainy note. You can feel the slightly thicker rye elements to this beer just sitting on top of that as well. It's got this nice sort of grainy, rye bready base to it. On top of that, if you go right into the middle of the tongue, there's a little bit of a slightly sweeter caramel malt to it, and that'll be the I think that'll be the two-row and the crystal. If the Irish two-row malts are like the American ones, they'll give you this kind of bready but also slightly caramelly quality. And I think that's what you're getting out of this beer. The chocolate's definitely in there as well. The chocolate comes in at the start, but then I would argue that it kind of fades away as the beer mellows out a little bit. It's definitely there. I mean, you've seen how long it was since I took a sip. The chocolate lingers there a little bit. It comes in at the start, goes away a little bit, and it starts to just push its way back in. And then the roasty, or not roasty, more toasty. It's not quite got that black malt present that would give it a proper kind of roasty note. It's got more of a toasty kind of grainy quality to this, and that, as I say, pushes its way out of this beer as the flavour mellows out a little bit. I like how this malt base goes together. It's got a good bit of complexity to it, this beer. As I say, it's not punchy in any one particular regard. It's all about how the flavours kind of go together, and as you move further and further into the aftertaste of this one, I think the sort of rauch malty qualities of this one, that kind of beechwoody flavour, that really starts to come to the fore a little bit, and you do get a little bit of this kind of meaty note to it, but I would say definitely it's more a kind of woody quality that comes out of this beer as you go through it. I do like how this one goes together. It's a beer that definitely, if you're a fan of the rauch beers like Schlenkerland, things like that, this one's kind of interesting because it does. If you like Brooklyn Brown and you like the Schlenkerland beers, as I do, I think you will enjoy this one. It's definitely got a little bit of a lighter mouthfeel to it than the German rauch beers. It does lean a little bit more towards, it's almost a bit like a German rauch beer, but with some of that kind of American sessionability to it, if that makes sense. Or it's probably more of an American beer, just with a little bit of that rauch malt backbone. That's probably a better way to describe it, actually. It's definitely more brown ale than rauch beer, or in my opinion, if you like. But it is actually nice. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. I do like how it goes together. I'd be interested to know exactly how old it is. It says best before the 14th of July. I would guess that if it's an autumn beer, it's maybe been bottled around 3 months ago at the time that I'm filming this. I'm filming this at the end of January, and I would say probably it's about 3 months old at the moment, but it seems, I mean, with a brown ale you can get away with that a little bit. The hops are still present in this one. It's usually the IPAs and stuff that you've got to drink quickly, but with a brown ale it will last a little bit longer in the bottle, in my experience. But yeah, on the hoppy side of things, a little touch of earthiness in the back corner of the palate. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you can feel there's a little bit of that earthiness just spreading forward, and that builds a good bridge between the sort of toasty, grainy, almost the rye-ish qualities of this beer. You've got a good bridge there between malt base and hops. Then round the very front curve of the tongue, it just gets a little bit lighter and grassy, but there's really not too much in the way of IBUs from this one. You get a little bit of bitterness from the toasty grains, and you've also got a little bit from the hops as well, but this beer is by no means going to blow your head off in terms of the bitterness and IBUs that you're getting from it. In terms of the fruity side of the beer, actually, yeah, in terms of the fruity notes, if you just go behind the front curve of the tongue, that's where you're going to get that little oily bubble where these kind of nice juicy fruity esters come out of the beer. There's a little bit of a citrusy quality there. It's not quite lemongrassy, but it's just that kind of typical sort of grassy citrus that you get from the hops. There's a wee tiny little bit of a slightly candied red fruit ester, but that's not taking too much prominence at all. It does lean a little bit more towards the towards the kind of just like lighter grassy citrus. The candied red fruit doesn't take much prominence in this beer at all. This beer actually, it would make, it's an American brown. There's no doubt in my head about that. That's the main component of this beer. It's an American brown, but then it's just got a little bit of that slightly German quality to it, that slightly German Rauch beer quality. So it's a really interesting hybrid, this one. I don't think I've come across a brown ale that is quite like this one. And if I'm remembering rightly, I don't think I've had I'd smoked brown ale before. I think this might be the first one on the channel that I'm doing for you. I mean, it's been 1200 beers, so I might be telling you lies. If I am, I apologise. But in terms of brown ales, I don't think I've had a smoked one as well. I've had a lot of smoked beers because, as you know, I love drinking smoked beers on the channel and trying smoked beers from lots of different places. But as far as I know, this is the first smoked brown that I've had. And I have to say, they've done a nice job with this. It's one of these beers that's quite complex. They were saying on the website that you should pair this with the likes of blue cheese and steaks and things like that. I can see that right away. This is a good beer for drinking with like a barbecue or really strong cheeses or something like that. I can see that aspect to this one. Rauch beers and smoked beers are always really, really good for that. But I have to say, I've enjoyed this one. As I say, if you like Brooklyn Brown, or you like an American brown ale, this one's really good. And if you like the Rauch beers, this one I think as well will suit you down to dinner. So if you're a kind of traditional German Rauch beer drinker, this is maybe a way to get you into the American browns a little bit and get used to kind of more hoppiness and kind of graspy aspects of the beer. If you're more into the American browns and haven't tried a Rauch beer, this kind of could be a good sort of stepping stone to those beers as well. But on its own, it stands out really nicely for me. But as I say, Rauch beers can be a little bit of an acquired taste, so have a go at it and see what you think. And as I always ask, do let me know your own thoughts on the flavours and stuff in the comments section below. In terms of the mouthfeel of the beer then, I would say, I think it's mid-bodied more than anything. Yeah, mid-bodied. Carbonation's quite soft, I would say. It does have a little bit of a prickle at the start, but overall it's quite soft. It's a good, the mouthfeel of this one for me overall is somewhere between oily and wet. It kind of meets right in the middle. And as I say, I think that the water that they're using over in County Cork probably has a good bit of mineral and things like that in it. It's one thing I do need to get a bit better versed in when it comes to brewing, is sort of water and softening water and stuff like this. But to me, you can taste the sort of quality of the water in this beer, if that makes sense. As I was saying, the malt base has a good balance between being sort of toasty and slightly bitter, but also a little bit of sweetness in there as well. There is a nice sort of caramelly note, but as the beer mellows out, it does start to lean a little bit more towards the toasty, grainy side of things. The hoppiness is nice as well. There's a little bit of a nice kind of toasty. There's a nice sort of there is a little bit of IBU to this beer, but not too much. And as I was saying, the grainy part of the beer builds a good bridge with the slightly bitter hoppiness, and there's just a tiny little bit of fruity character. But overall, this beer is all about how the flavours go together, and for me, it kind of pieces together really well. I think this would make a really nice sort of cask beer or keg beer as well. I think with a slightly smoother mouthfeel, you'd get a little bit more out of this beer, but as a bottle conditioned beer, it's still pretty damn good as well. So yeah, if you like Rauch beers, have a go at this one. If you like the American brown, have a go at it. It's kind of somewhere in the middle of the two. So yeah, it's another really quite interesting beer from 8 Degrees North. It's probably a little bit more interesting than the Supernova. I mean, the Supernova that I tried before was a pretty straight up double IPA. This is one of the more kind of unusual things, and as a beer tuber, that is what you want. You want to try beers that are going to test your palate a little bit, and this one for me certainly has done that. So I think that's a good way to kind of sign off on this review now. So this one was the Bandit, a 6% smoked brown ale from 8 Degrees Brewing in Mitchelstown in County Cork over in the Republic of Ireland. A really interesting beer, and I'm glad that I got to try it, so I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on it. So yeah, until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Do check out my social media as well. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from 8 Degrees as well. because these guys are producing some really interesting stuff. A lot of you from Ireland have commented on my last Irish videos that I've done, so please do keep the suggestions coming, because there's more and more of the Irish beer making its way over to Scotland, so hopefully I can review some more of them for you. You will see there either will have been before, or there will be very soon a review from White Hag as well. A number of you requested that, so do keep an eye out for that, or check it out if it's already up. So this was the Bandit from 8 Degrees Brewing, and I will catch you guys very soon. A really interesting beer, this one. Slàinte just now.